Hello everybody and welcome to this month's edition of the Butterfly Princess Show Book Club. This month, it's the end of September already. Can't believe how fast this year's going. It'll be Christmas again before we know it. But this month's episode, we're going to be discussing the novel Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie. So this month's episode is entitled Exploring Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile, a multifaceted analysis. So here goes. Introduction. Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile, which was published in 1937, stands as a quintessential masterpiece of the golden age of detective fiction, a period marked by intricate plots, intelligent puzzles, and the rise of iconic detectives such as Hercule Poirot and Miss Marple. Christie, often hailed as the Queen of Crime, crafted this novel during a time of global upheaval, weaving themes of human frailty, social decay, and moral ambiguity into a riveting tale of murder and deception. Set against the exotic backdrop of Egypt's Nile River, the novel transcends its genre, offering not only a labyrinth mystery, but also a profound exploration of human psychology, class dynamics, and the consequences of unchecked desires. This episode examines the novel's intricate plot, thematic richness, historical context, and enduring relevance, whilst also delving into Christie's motivations, character construction, and the book's critical response. Through this episode, we uncover why Death on the Nile remains a cornerstone of literal crime fiction and a mirror reflecting timeless human truths. So, plot overview. The narrative begins with Hercule Poirot, the fastidious Belgian detective, embarking on a leisurely cruise along the Nile to escape the pressures of his profession. His idyllic retreat is shattered when Linnet Ridgeway Doyle, a young, fabulously wealthy heiress, is found murdered in her cabin aboard the schemer Karnak. The crime scene is rife with contradiction: a stolen pearl necklace, a cryptic J scrawled in blood, and a cast of passengers, each harbouring secrets. Among the suspects are Linnet's embittered former friend Jacqueline de Bellefort, whose fiancé Simon Doyle abandoned her to marry Linnet. Simon himself, whose affordable demeanour, mass greed, and duplicity, a host of secondary characters, including a radical socialist, a disgraced aristocrat, and a vengeful maid. Poirot's investigation peels back layers of deception, revealing a conspiracy orchestrated by Jacqueline and Simon. Their plot, fueled by jealousy, financial disrespect, and a twisted desire for revenge, unfolds through mysteriously staged alibis and a chilling disregard for human life. The climax, in which Poirot their scheme underscores Christie's mastery of misdirection and her ability to subvert reader expectations. The denouement, however, is not merely a revelation of guilt, but a meditation on the fragility of morality. As Poirot reflects, the real tragedy is the blindness that leads to catastrophic events. About the author Agatha Christie. Agatha Christie was born in 19 lived between 1890 and 1976. She remains the best-selling novelist of all time with over 2 billion books sold worldwide. Born into a middle-class family in Torquay, England, Christie's early life was marked by intellectual curiosity and a vivacious appetite for storytelling. Her service as a nurse and a pharmacist during World War I provided her with a practical knowledge of potions, which later became a hallmark of her mysteries. Christie's literal career took flight in 1920 with the mysterious affair at Styles, introducing Hercule Poirot, a detective whose little grey cells and captured readers. Over 5 decades, she penned 66 novels, 14 short story collections, and the world's longest-running play, The Mousetrap. Her travels to Egypt and Mesopotamia with her second husband, archaeologist Max Malum, profoundly influenced her work, infusing novels like Death on the Nile, Murder in Mesopotamia with vivid cultural detail. Christie's genius lay in her ability to blend escapism with social critique. Her novels often scrutinise the hypocrisy of the British upper class, the erosion of traditional values, and the psychological complexities of guilt and innocence. Despite her commercial success, Christie remained a private figure, shunning publicity and once quipping, "The best time to plan a book is while you're doing the dishes." Why was this book written? So, Death on the Nile emerged from a confluence of personal culture and historical factors. By the 1930s, Christie had solidified her reputation as a master of the whodunit, but she sought to push the boundaries of the novel genre. The novel reflects her fascination with travel and her desire to experiment with the closed circle mystery format, where the killer is confined to a small isolated group, a structure she perfected in Murder on the Orient Express, which was published in 1934. The 1930s, a decade married by the Great Depression and the rising political extremism, also supported the novel's themes. Christie's portrayal of Linnet's escape schools in the sense of entitlement, contrasts sharply with the desperations of characters like Jacqueline, whose financial ruin drives her to madness. This critique the moral veracity of the elite and the systematic inquiries into our Britain. Moreover, Christie's travels in Europe in 1933 with her husband inspired the novel's setting. The Nile, a symbol of ancient grandeur and colonial exploration, serves as both a backdrop and a metaphor for the flow of human ambition and folly. Christie's detailed descriptions of Luxor, Ansar, and the ruins of Sember reflect her admiration for Egyptology and critiquing the British aristocracy's apprehension of foreign cultures and leisure. Character creation, motivation, and symbolism. Christie's characters are not mere chess pieces in a plot. They are embodiments of social flaws and human vulnerabilities. Each serve a dual purpose, advancing the mystery and illuminating broader themes. Linnet Doyle, Nile Ridgeway. The architect, poor little rich girl, Linnet is a tragic figure whose wealth isolates her from genuine human connection. Her manipulation of Simon and dismissal of Jacqueline's feelings emphasises the arrogance of inherited privilege, yet her terror in the gaze leading to her death humanise her, revealing the insecurity beneath her glamorous facade. Simon Doyle. Simon's charm and physical allure mask a weak, morally bankrupt character. His willingness to conspire and murder for financial gain reflects the moral decay of a society obsessed with material success. Christie uses Simon to critique the cult of masculinity, portraying him as a passive participant in Jacqueline's schemes rather than a mastermind. Jacqueline Bellefort. Jacqueline's descent from heartbroken lover to vengeful murderer is the novel's emotional core. Her transformation underscores the destructive power of obsession and social pressures placed on women to derive identity from romantic relationships. Christie subverts the female fatale trait by framing Jacqueline's actions as a tragic response to systematic betrayal. Hercule Poirot. More than a detective, Poirot serves as the novel's moral anchor. His radiance on logic contrasts with the emotional virility of the other characters, yet Christie humanises him through moments of empathy such as his pity for Jacqueline, revealing that justice is not merely intellectual but deeply personal. Secondary characters. Salmon, a scandalous novelist obscured for her immoral works. Salmon symbolises society's hypocrisy in condemning female autonomy. Her murder mistaken for an accident underscores the danger of non-formality. Mr. Ferguson, a self-proclaimed socialist, Ferguson's tireless against capitalism and the ideal rich parade radical intellections. His eventual attraction to Rosalind, however, hints at the university of human desire, transcending ideological divides. Louise Bagnet, Linnet's maid, whose greed and blackmail attempts lead to her demise, represents the persecution of the working class in hierarchical society. Christie's characters collectively paint a portrait of a society teetering on the brink of moral collapse where love, loyalty and integrity are confined. Themes. The corrosive narrative of greed. The murderers are participated by fiction. Simon and Envy, Jacqueline, illustrates how materialism corrupts the soul. Linnet's wealth, far from granting security, makes her a target, suggesting that openness is both a shield and a vulnerability. Justice versus revenge. Poirot's method pursuit of truth contrasts with Jacqueline's vengeful villages. The novel questions whether justice can ever be truly served in a world where legal systems often favour the powerful. Class. The Karnak reflects Britain's colonial mindsets. Wealthy tourists like Linnet treat Egypt as a playground, oblivious to its cultural richness. Characters like Ferguson and Rosalind challenge the hierarchy, yet their voices are mirroring real-world power dynamics. Appearance versus reality, perception pervades the narratives from Simon's vague injury to Poirot's manipulation of suspects. Christie critiques a society obsessed with surface where truth is buried beneath layers of pretense. Gender and agency. Female characters navigate a world that denies them autonomy. Jacqueline's madness and Salmon's verification highlight the penalties women face in defying social norms. Reception and legacy. Upon its release, Death on the Nile was lauded for its airtight plotting and atmospheric setting. The Time literary supplement praised Christie's intent construction, while the New York Times noted her unreliable capacity to deceive. However, mid-20th century critics often dismissed Christie as a mere entertainer, overlooking her social commentary. Modern scholars have evaluated the novel through a feminist lens. Critic Catherine Ross Nicholson argues that the Egyptian setting exposes the comedy of colonialism as British tourists reduce ancient cultures to exotic backdrops for their dramas. Similarly, Jacqueline's act is reinterpreted as a critique of the limited roles available to women in a partialist society. The novel's cultural impact is immense. It has been adapted into multiple films, including the lavish 1978 version starring Peter Erskine and Kenneth Branagh's 2022 reimagining. Each adaptation grapples with contemporary issues. The 1978 film emphasises glamour and escapism, while Branagh's version incorporates themes of racial and gender inequality, reflecting evolving social concerns. Lessons and moral implications. Death on the Nile is a cautionary tale about the parallels of hoodiness and emotional recklessness. Linnet's belief in her invincibility, "I've always gotten what I wanted," proves her undoing, illustrating the ancient Greek concept of hubris. Similarly, Jacqueline's single-minded vengeance destroys not only her victims but herself. As Poirot observes, love can be a very frightening thing. The novel also interrogates the nature of justice. Poirot, though committed to truth, recognises the limitations of legal systems. His decision to withhold evidence in Murder on the Orient Express, allowing killers to escape punishment, is echoed here in his toward Jacqueline's fate. Christie suggests that morality is not black and white, but a spectrum shaped by human suffering. Historical context and setting. The 1930s, a decade of global economic collapse and political extremism, deeply influenced Christie's work. Britain's aristocracy, already weakened by World War I, faced further decline as numerous rich industries like Linnet's father's rose to prominence. The novel's tension between old money, represented by colonial race, and new wealth mirrors the era's class struggles. Egypt, normally independent, but under British military control until 1952, serves as a symbol of imperial exploitation. The tourist indifference to Egypt's political realities, focusing instead on temples and trinkets, reflects Britain's consolation. Christie, though not overtly political, some critics this mindset through Poirot's respective interactions with Egyptian characters, a rarity in fiction of the time. Characters, characteristics and qualities. Hercule Poirot, a refuge from war-torn Belgium, Poirot's outsider status grants him clarity in observing British phobes, order and method, monogamy, mass, a deep compassion for victims of injustice. Linnet Doyle, her beauty and charm disguise a calculating nature. Christie uses her to disconstruct the American Irish streak, highlighting the loneliness of wealth. Jacqueline de Bellefort, her transition from heartbroken lineage to calculating murderer challenges readers to emphasise with a killer. Colonel Race, a recurring character in Christie's novels, Race embodies British imperial authority, yet his partnership with Poirot suggests a grundling respect for foreign intellect. Rosalind, initially portrayed as a sullen teenager, Rosalind's resistance and moral growth provide a counterpart to the adult's corruption. Reflections on the time period. The novel captures the interwars of society grappling with economic inequality and the erosion of traditional values. The characters' moral Simon's greed, Simon's defiance, Ferguson's hypocrisy mirrors the existential uncertainty of the 1930s. Christie's portrayal of Egypt is both majestic and confinement, reflects Britain's fraught relationship with its colonies, a theme that resonates with post-colonial discourse today. Relevance to today's world. Death on the Nile remains relevant in its exploration of wealth, inequality, refuge, modern debates about the 1% in corporate greed. Jacqueline's psychological unraveling mirrors contemporary discussions about mental health and the consequences of emotional neglect. The novel's critique of colonialism aligns with movements to get literature and confront historical injustices. Moreover, the rise of true crime as entertainment invites readers to reflect on their own fascination with violence. Christie's lucid portrayal of guilt and victimhood challenges us to emphasise with morally ambiguous characters a lesson vital in an era of polarised discourse. Is this a good introduction to Agatha Christie? Death on the Nile is an exceptional introduction to Christie. It anticipates her signature elements, a tightly plotted mystery, vivid settings and characters who transcend stereotypes. New readers gain insights into her ability to weave social critique into suspenseful narratives, while long-time fans appreciate the novel's emotional depth. Christie's prose through accessible renown, close reading, revealing layers of irony and psychological insight. Where to start with Christie's work? For newcomers, Death on the Nile offers a balanced entry point. Readers seeking further exploration might proceed to Murder on the Orient Express. This was published in 1934 and is a semi-closed circle mystery. And then There Were None. This was published in 1939. This is a dark, more psychological tale. The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, published in 1926, notorious for its groundbreaking twist. Croats House, published in 1949, a standstill novel exploring family dysfunction. These works showcase Christie's range from cosy village mysteries to bleak explorations of human characters. Top 10 characters in Death on the Nile: Hercule Poirot, Linnet Doyle, Simon Doyle, Jacqueline de Bellefort, Colonel Race, Rosalie, Salmon, Mr. Ferguson, Mrs. Alturing, a preoccupied widow offering weary commentary on the other passengers, and Louise Bagford, the maid whose Greek underscores the working class. Conclusion: Death on the Nile endures not merely as a puzzle to be solved, but as a profound meditation on human nature. Christie's genius lies in her ability to intertwine with suspense with social critique, creating a narrative that entertains even as it interrogates the moral failings of the time. The novel's exploration of greed, justice, and identity resonates across decades, inviting readers to confront uncomfortable truths about power, privilege, and complexity. In an age of superficiality and division, Christie's work reminds us that beneath the veneer of civilization lies a complex web of desires and fears, a web as relevant today as it was on the banks of the Nile in 1937. As Poirot himself might say, to understand the crime, one must first understand the human heart. And that, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, concludes this month's episode of the Butterfly Princess Show Book Club. I hope you've enjoyed this month's episode, and I hope you can join me next month, where we will be discussing another book, but I won't be revealing the name of the book until the 19th of October. That will be revealed on the Facebook and the Butterfly Princess Show Facebook page, and then the next episode will be then recorded on the 26th of October, and it will then be uploaded onto the Butterfly Princess Show Facebook page and YouTube channel, where you can keep up. Also, please give follow the Butterfly Princess if you would like to follow the Butterfly Princess Show. You can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And if you're I'm always welcoming new audience members. So if you're a new audience member to the Butterfly Princess Show, welcome. I'm very grateful that you have joined me on my educational journey of sharing my passion for lifelong learning. And also thank you very much for the audience members who have stuck with me from the very beginning. Your support is very much appreciated. Thank you. So now I'm going to sign off now. So all I need to say now is take care. Hope you have a lovely rest of your weekend. Take care, and I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.